Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good middle of the night to some of you if you're tuning in from very far in the east. We'll get started in a moment. We'll just let everyone kind of jump on here. So once again, welcome to the ClearAdmit MBA Essay Insight webinar series. We've asked everyone to jump into the chat and indicate where they're tuning in from today. And I'm really excited because this is the first of a series of webinars that we're going to be running every Wednesday for the next 4 weeks. And we're going to sit down with so many amazing MBA programs. Today is particularly exciting because we have representatives from Georgetown, Berkeley, and Duke today. I guess we can just sort of get rolling here. We've got a lot of people who've tuned in. So let's get started and I'll introduce everyone. So I'm Graham. I'm the co-founder of ClearAdmit. I also host the ClearAdmit MBA Admissions podcast. Some of you may know me from that. And I'm going to moderate today and just, kind of try to stay out of the way as we let our panelists share insights into their application and essay kind of process at their school. So let's introduce everybody. So first up, we've got Kwamina Hansen-Saki, who is an Associate Director of Admissions at Berkeley's Haas School of Business. Welcome, Kwamina.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you. Next up, we've got Morgan Griffin, who is an Associate Director of Admissions at Duke's Fuqua School of Business. Hey, Morgan.
Hi, Graham. Thanks so much for having me.
It's a pleasure. And last but not least, we have Shelley Heinrich, who is the Associate Dean for MBA and MS ESM Admissions and Director of Marketing at Georgetown University's McDonough School of Business. Hey, Shelley.
Hey, glad to be on. Thanks, Graham.
Yeah, pleasure to have you as always. All right, so we're going to get right into it. We have a couple of kind of general roundtable questions that I wanted to start with. We're going to start with Kwamina, and I wanted to know, Kwamina, like, when do you read essays? Like, as you sit down to read someone's application, when are you looking at the essays? Is that like the first thing you look at, the last, somewhere in the middle? And also, how much time do you usually spend when you're reading a full application?
Thank you very much for the question. So we look at the essays pretty much close to the end of the application, so we go through the personal information, transcripts, test scores, your resume, your involvements, your goals, and then we get to the essay. That's where we get to understand who the person is outside of all of the numbers. We want to get the numbers out of the way, then learn about who the person is and what kind of drives them, what kind of motivates them through their journey, and how life has been for them. And so typically I personally spend anywhere from 35 to 45 minutes depending on the set application, but on average that's how much time I spend, because again our goal is to really look at it very thoroughly, utilizing the holistic review process. And so that's how much time we spend. Thank you.
Excellent. Yeah, that's really helpful. I think when we're going to hear from other guests, but I think this notion of looking at sort of the nuts and bolts of the file and getting a feel for, as you said, some of the numbers, some of the resume stuff before diving into the essays is pretty common. But let's see how do you guys do it at Duke, at Fuqua, Morgan?
Yeah, so very similar process. The way you fill out your application is the way we are going to read it. I kind of like to say, it's like when you're meeting somebody, you don't come out of the gate saying, let me tell you this random fact about myself, right? You want to first establish, hi, I'm Morgan Griffin. Here's where I'm from. Here's a little bit about me. So I would say the early parts of your application are helping to lay that foundation of who you are, just a little bit about like you as a person. And then I was talking with Graham earlier, it's kind of like we're peeling an onion. So each layer is revealing a little bit more. And then when we get to the middle is really where we get to learn more about you as a person. And I know we'll get into our essays individually. I would say an application can take anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour. We know that you've spent a lot of time putting together your application, and we want to give it the right amount of time to really go through. We read every single word. We look at every piece of paper that you have submitted. And so to really get a full feel of that application, we're usually spending anywhere from about 45 minutes to an hour. But again, it's all just to get to learn more about you. And I would say we probably spend the most amount of time reading the essays just because they're a little bit longer than looking at a school transcript or a one-page resume.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, super helpful. Thanks, Morgan. Shelley, when do you read the essays, and yeah, how much time are you spending with each candidate?
Yeah, I love the essays, but I typically, it's kind of middle of the pack for me, middle of the stack of the application. So I read their resumes first, kind of get to know them, likely watch their video essay, then read their written essays. After that, their recommendations, and kind of then dig into the transcript. So it's kind of the middle of the application. Typically spend a full application, I would say 25, 30 minutes. But, it's not precise. So if someone needs a little bit more time or someone's more concise, but I'd say 25, 30 minutes is average.
Okay, got it. Yeah, I think you're raising an interesting point, which is that, not everyone's application is the same. And so there's sometimes you just need more time to, some people have had more jobs than others, or there's just more to get through in terms of going through it. But I appreciate you kind of, all of you kind of shedding light on this process. I know that, when you're an applicant and you're kind of sitting down to put together your application, you don't really have a clear sense of what's happening on the other side. So now we can all envision you guys sitting down with an application and get a feel for when you're looking at the essays and how much time you're spending. Let's move on though. What we're going to do next is we're going to go school by school, and we have slides here, which hopefully are accurate, because I know this is that time of year where each of you are kind of changing your applications potentially for the new season. I'm pretty sure we've got everything accurate and up to date, but feel free to correct me if you see something that is wrong. So we're going to go school by school, and what we thought we would do is have you just sort of highlight one of your essay questions or components here that you see on screen, and just talk us through it. Let us know something about this piece of your application process. So Quimina, we'll start with you. And I just, curious to know, what about the Berkeley Haas kind of essays or this video piece do you want to highlight? And then I'll probably have some follow-up questions for you.
Sounds good. Thank you very much. All right. So as folks would realize, we've changed the essays a bit for us, and this is accurate. Our application is already live, and so essay number 2. I want to speak on essay number 2, okay, which is the new one from what folks might have been used to or might have seen in previous years. And so the essay prompt is, how will an MBA help you achieve your short-term and long-term career goals? The reason for that is that over the years, and after each cycle, we try to kind of review what is working and what is not working, and where we want to be able to kind of get more information from folks, and realize that was a piece that needed more. And so initially it just used to be a question that folks just answered, but we wanted to kind of give more room for folks to expand on that. And so this is a space where applicants are being asked to speak into their why MBA, and so the question is intentionally very direct, asking about how would that help you achieve your short-term, long-term goals. So the plan is for you to look at it backwards. Okay, this is what I want to achieve short-term, is what I want to achieve long-term, and then work your way backwards. Where does an MBA fit into that piece? Why is an MBA necessary or relevant at this particular time of your professional journey to achieve that? And then, of course, we've given the 300 words max space to be able to speak into that and be as clear and focused as possible. A lot of times, what we've seen in the past is that folks are vague about their goals and how an MBA is a necessary piece to that. And so we want to give the opportunity for folks to be able to dig deep. It comes from a place of some deep reflection and understanding of what you want to do. And so really take time on that. We have some tips and resources on our site, and also through our bootcamp to help you, providing some questions to help you kind of flesh this out a little bit more, so that we can get the meat of why an MBA and why an MBA from Berkeley Haas.
Okay, that's helpful. So I'm hearing that you just kind of, that last comment, I'm hearing a little bit of a subtext, which is, it's not just how will an MBA help you achieve your short and long-term goals, but specifically how will the Haas MBA do so? So I guess you're looking for people to think about it through that lens, right?
That's right.
Yeah. Okay. And then I do have a couple of follow-on questions about these other pieces of the application. So, first off, the video essay, I mean, this used to be a written response, and it's been shifted to video, right? And so I was wondering if you could just comment on that. Like, what was the rationale? And, because this is kind of a new exercise for people.
Yes. So the rationale behind it is that we wanted to really get a feel of our applicants from like the video lens, be able to see how they present themselves and how they are able to kind of speak to certain things. I feel like with an essay, sometimes it limits folks in being able to kind of express every part of them. So we're testing this out, and with this new video essay, not exceeding 2 minutes, to give folks a chance to be able to speak into our defining leadership principles, which one resonates with them, and sharing examples of that. And so that's the rationale behind this new one there.
Okay.
And this is the first time we're doing it, so we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, and I will say, from talking to other MBA programs who've introduced, video components like this to the process, a lot of the admissions directors I talk with talk about how it's really fun for them to get, because they don't get to meet every candidate otherwise, and this gives them a chance to kind of just almost meet each candidate. I know it's brief, it's 2 minutes, but it just gives them a bit more. So I can see how, why you've made that decision. The final question I had for you, Queen, is just about the first essay. I'm a big fan of this essay because it's so open-ended and it gives people a chance to talk about like virtually anything. And obviously, ideally gives you all a chance to really get to know the candidate. But I wanted to know, like, do you have a feel for whether people tend to go in a sort of professional or personal direction with this? I mean, because, someone might be really pretty passionate about their career, but they might feel more alive when they're, I don't know, kayaking or speeding down a ski slope or, whatever they do that, so how would you recommend someone think through that aspect of personal versus professional?
I would say don't limit yourself. Over the years and through multiple rounds or cycles of admission, I've seen folks go in different direction, and it's very intentional why we brought in this essay and why we still use it, despite changing a couple of things on the as a part of our application. Because again, like you said, it allows us to see folks in a different light, and folks go in different directions so that folks can stay within the professional sense, or folks can share things personal. So yes, like the example you use with kayaking, yes, we've seen that. Some folks, it is knitting. If some folks is just being outdoor, hiking, whatever. So it's just a space for us to be able to learn about you in a light that typically doesn't show up in a business application. And so the key takeaway here is don't feel limited. Take it whatever direction you want to go. But it's very, very much important that you are answering the question. What makes you feel alive when you're doing it? Don't get stuck there. Please go to the next part of it, which is and explain the why. Because a lot of times I see that folks talk about it, they get caught up in just speaking about what makes them feel alive and don't elaborate on the why piece of it.
Great. Yeah. And I see my colleague Mike has kind of put the question to everyone. So we're getting lots of fun answers. These will not count on your Haas application, folks, just to, but no, it is what's great about this question is it truly has such a wide range of possibilities, as you can see from, people writing right now. So appreciate you shedding light on that, and especially underlining that why piece, because I think it shouldn't take people more than a sentence or so to explain like what makes them feel alive. And so the bulk of that essay is probably going to be more about like why and what it is about, that activity. So appreciate you kind of pulling back the veil a little bit on these three parts of your application. Let's move on and talk with Morgan now. And I think we might have 2 slides for you, Morgan, because I think that, we have, because there's, the essays didn't easily fit on one page here. So take us through one part, and we can change slides if you want to talk about, something else that we have here. So up to you. Just walk us through one component of the essays and shed some light.
So I would say that our iconic essay is the 25 random things about yourself essay. And to kind of shed some light on how did we get to this essay prompt, it really started as a way for people in our office to get to know each other. It was kind of an onboarding process, and we would write our list of 25 things. In fact, we still do that. And when we were done writing it, we'd email it to the entire admissions staff. And it'd always be nice because you'd send it out and then you'd start getting all these emails of someone being like, I have a similar situation, or that's so cool, tell me more about it. And we learned that when you were introducing yourself, you know, we knew who you were professionally because you were coming to work in higher education, but it was a way for us to really get to know people and connect with people and foster that sense of community. And that's so important to us at Fuqua. And so we thought, if this works so well in our office, how great would that be to learn more about our candidates? And so that's kind of how it evolved. There's no like weird 25 thing motif or anything there. We just thought 25 things was, you really get to go deep and really get to know someone. We felt like 5 was too little, 50 was way too many. So 25 seemed like a happy medium. And so with this essay, it really is a chance for you to show your personality. We get the questions a lot about, should you include professional things or only personal? And I think when it comes to that, you know, if we've already seen that you work at a certain company, you don't need to put that as your fact because we've already learned that about you. But maybe was there a reason why you went to go work for that industry or things like that? So you can include some professional, but we really want this to be personal and about you. We want to know what you're passionate about, what makes you tick, what was a life experience that changed you. And it really is a cool essay because it causes people to really reflect on themselves. And when they share things, you never know who is reading your application and what connection they might form to you. For example, my husband is a chef. I'm very lucky in life. I eat very good dinners. And he's always telling me weird food things. And I was telling him once how much I love cilantro. And he was like, do you know that some people, when they taste cilantro, it doesn't taste like the cilantro you and I, it's a gene mutation. I'm like, huh, that's so interesting. And I kid you not, the next application I read, someone talked about how they are part of that weird 2% of people that when they eat cilantro, it does not taste like the cilantro that most people, I think it's like a rotten or bitter taste to them or soapy taste. So yes, someone just put it tastes like soap. And so it was just interesting that was something that I remembered of that person's application simply because of something that happens in my community at home that my husband shared with me. And so you would be surprised at the random facts that we remember about people and about you because we might have a connection to that. So really it's a chance for you to share those fun things that you don't get to share in a resume, that you don't share with a test score, or that maybe your recommender isn't going to share about you. So it is meant to be fun. We do 25 thing essay workshops periodically, and it's always great to see people kind of come together and share and see those bonds connect even before they've applied or before they've attended business school.
That's wonderful. Yeah, I mean, this is another, great question. I feel like we've assembled schools today that have these really just great opportunities to sort of share about your background. And I guess if you're ever inviting that student over, hold the cilantro on whatever you're serving. I did have a follow-on question. So I think we have another slide with your second essay, which is this sort of Fuqua community question. And the question I had here is, there are obviously all these kind of outside of the classroom activities and research centers and clubs. And I just wondered, is it fair game for a candidate to also talk about how they expect to contribute in class? Like maybe they have a set of experiences that they think are going to lend to discussion, should they, stick to the kind of non-classroom stuff? And then the other question I had about this essay is, what's the best way to kind of start the research process? Because I think this question does require one to really kind of get some, details and do their homework on the program. So would you say starting with the website or talking to current students, what's the best way to go about that?
Yeah, Graham, I'm really glad you brought that up because I think research no matter even what the essay prompt is so important when you're looking at a business school that you're going to attend. You'll probably hear a lot in your business school research the term fit, and there's a reason why we talk about that. So I'll kind of start with the research part of it. I think it is so important with whether it's Fuqua, Haas, Georgetown, any of the schools that you're looking at, taking time to look at the website. That's a great starting point, is just to look at the website. We have, different schools will have blogs. That's a great way to kind of get your good foundational of like, what is this school about? I think it's important to take it a step further. And, whether it's talking with students, talking to alumni, we're all hosting events and we'd love to host you there. I think it's important to talk with members of our community to see what's kind of the feel there. What have they done? They usually can shed light on like, hey, I was able to do this, and here are some things I'm involved with. So I definitely think like spend time talking to members of the community. Don't just rely on website research. While website research is great in laying that foundational, so you can have that conversation and talk about things and have an informed conversation with members of our community. Don't just rely on that. We've read our website enough to know when you're probably just pulling things from the website. So I think spend time talking with students, talking with alumni is really important. When it comes to this essay, you're going to hear probably a lot more about lived experiences and the impact that has in you going to business school. We all have had experiences professionally, personally, culturally that have really shaped who we are. And everyone is different, and that could be something you bring to the table. I've heard people talk about some, health struggles and how that has really shaped why they're going into healthcare, and they maybe want to have a rare disease club or forum to talk about some of these things. We don't really have that club at Fuqua, so I think absolutely like you can tie in things that are unique to you that maybe only you bring to the table, that maybe there isn't a club or a forum for this or an idea for this. We do want you to stick to 3 things, and I think that's really important because when you go to business school, you are going to be presented with so many amazing opportunities, and it's really easy to say yes to everything, but you will find out quickly it's not possible to keep up with the coursework, the recruiting, and all those things. So stick to 3 things that you are passionate about, that you feel like are ways that you can really be impactful. We're not looking for like, well, did they select the right club? There's no wrong answer to this. It's really, what do you bring and how do you plan to contribute to Fuqua and kind of where you see yourself fitting into this community that we've developed.
Got it. Okay, that's super helpful. And I see, as we've been talking, I see that we've gotten some people sharing random things about themselves. So that's actually a nice exercise for everyone on this webinar, because I think, I don't know what you all do at Fuqua when you do the workshop to help people think about it, but I find it quite stimulating to see what people are coming up with. Someone put, I can't ride a bicycle. So that's like, normally you would think about facts as being things one could do or things that happen to someone, but this is actually, it's kind of interesting, right? To see that, and it makes it colorful. And so in any event, just interesting to see what people are saying. Let's move on. Shelley, you've been super patient as we've talked with your colleagues at Haas and Fuqua. Take us through, and again, I think we have a couple slides. So take us through one component of your essays and just shed some light, and then I'll have some follow-on questions for you.
Yeah, definitely. So, at Georgetown McDonough, I think for the last 4 or 5 years, we have given applicants 3 essay options, and they just have to choose one. And this is for the written essay portion. So you'll see here the first essay option, there's 2 more. This isn't a trick question. There's no one right answer. So the goal is that everyone brings something unique and different to the classroom. Everyone has their unique selling proposition, to use an MBA term, USP, unique selling proposition. And we want people to choose the essay that allows them to really shine and share that USP with us. So instead of trying to like fit your uniqueness into one essay, pick the one that allows you to really shine. And they're all kind of different. So this one here really focuses on the community, and we're a Jesuit institution, and so principles of equality and respect and inclusivity and diversity. And so what about your background really allows you to contribute to the diversity of perspectives and ideas at Georgetown? I don't know if you have on the next slide our other two, but
yeah, we got them. Here they are.
Perfect. I know, too much for one slide. The next two, so essay option 2, leave your legacy. So this is a campaign that we're really focused on right now, and it's the thought is, how are you going to come to McDonough and make your mark, leave a legacy, find something that's of interest to you. So in our 40 different clubs or our centers and initiatives or other case competitions or treks, what is it that you're going to come and love, own, and make better than when you found it for the future? And then how are you even going to go out as an alum and leave your legacy? So we really want people to think through what they want their legacy to be as a student and alum. And then the third, Magis, again, a Jesuit value, which means achieving more or greater excellence. So we want them to go to their resume and pick out something that they've put on their resume and share how this exemplified excellence and involvement and contributed to excellence. Part of the reason for some of our essay prompts is, the rise, we haven't talked about it yet, but the rise of ChatGPT. We all know it's out there, and, in some ways it democratizes access to, help for people. So we've really tried to think about, a great essay is one that is very specific to your example, specific to your experiences. ChatGPT is great for solid, generic, great grammar and content, but what it lacks is something about you. And so you'll notice in each of our essays, it has to do with experiences that maybe at least in 2023, ChatGPT can't figure out. I mean, who knows, 5 or 10 years from now, maybe ChatGPT will know about all of our life experiences. But at least for now, we really want this to be people's own work as they write the essays. And so.
Got it. Yeah, and actually, we talked about this recently on the Clear Admit podcast. This very topic about ChatGPT. So I have 2 questions for you. So one of the things is that you have these options, which I think is great. I mean, it really gives people like a ton of flexibility to sort of hone in on what it is that they feel most comfortable talking about. And you said you've been doing that for, I think it's 4 or 5 years, you said, right? So
yep.
Does that, I mean, this is kind of a silly question maybe, but does that make it more interesting for you all as you sit down and read? Because you're not always reading the same, you're kind of, I presume that people split maybe I don't know if it's down the middle, like it's kind of evenly distributed, but does that make it more fun for you all as you're reading?
It does. And yes, ironically and oddly in some ways, it is almost an even split. I mean, give or take. So there's not one kind of right essay, which also shows that we think this is a good strategy. People really resonate with getting to choose. And yes, I mean, when you're reading thousands of applications as an admissions committee person, the varying of essay question prompts does keep it interesting and fresh. And you can see people really gravitate towards showing up in their whole self on one of the essays. So yeah, we like it.
Yeah. All right. So that's helpful. And I think people, we have these, these are on your website, they're on our website. People can look at these options and think about them. I did have a follow-on question about, and I don't know if we have a slide for this, but you also have a video essay.
Yeah.
And I wanted to talk about that because, similar to Haas, this is a different kind of exercise. And I just wondered, if you had any advice, you've watched probably hundreds of these, if not thousands. And I wondered, what advice would you give to someone as they set out to make this video? And I think a lot of people applying, they don't have a lot of experience. I mean, okay, maybe they do TikTok or, short kind of funny things, but sitting down and making a video for the admissions process, I mean, people probably feel a little self-conscious, or, I mean, I might be from the wrong generation. Maybe no one feels self-conscious, but what would be your advice to someone as they kind of embark on that process?
Definitely. Don't stress. This can be, raw, informal. You do not need to have a lighting set or anything that is, particularly formal. So just sit down in front of your laptop, record it on your laptop, upload it in YouTube or Vimeo, give us the link. We are asking you to share facts. So I think 5 to 10 interesting things about you. And they should be things not found on your resume, but things that are about you as a person. So we are all 3 of the schools, we're building a community, we're building a cohort, and we want people to bring what's interesting and unique about them to that. And so we're excited. This is new for us this year, but we're excited to hear what people share. And, just don't worry and stress too much about making it perfectly polished, movie quality essay, right? Just talk to us. Right. I think little do you know, maybe it's actually to your benefit to do this video essay, because you're going to have the video essay, and then you're going to have an interview, an evaluative interview. And so this video essay is kind of your second interview in a way, right? Like some people, they walk into interviews, you're having a great day, you knock the interview out of the park. There's other times when no matter how great of a candidate you are, maybe you just had an off day. Yeah. You just didn't maybe connect with the interviewer. You didn't feel good about it, even though you may be a strong candidate. And so this video essay allows you to kind of have that extra chance at showing up on camera, as you would say, and the entire admissions committee gets to see your video essay, whereas your interview, at least at McDonough, is only done by one person. So it gives a chance for the rest of the committee to see you, experience you as a person. So, yep. Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah. And I think that comment about production values is important. I feel like it's really probably more about authenticity and just letting the committee get to know you. So knowing you don't need the incredible production values that you see in these kinds of webinars at Clear Admit, right? All right. So let's move on. We have, there's one more thing that I kind of wanted to do with everyone, and then we'll kind of make our way into breakout sessions where each of the schools is going to move into an individual Zoom and take your questions, because I know people certainly have questions for Shelley, Quamina, and Morgan. So, but the first thing I want to do is, and Shelley, we'll just stay with you for this one. These kind of fun lightning round questions. So what's one thing you love about working in MBA admissions at your program?
I love McDonough. I've worked at 4 different business schools. I've been here for over 9 years, and there's a reason for that. I truly, honestly have, believe in what we're offering. So I love it. And I love giving the chance for students to realize their personal and professional goals. Honestly, it's really rewarding in my life to see people achieve goals through our program. So, yep.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Morgan, we'll go to you. What's one thing that you love about working in MBA admissions at Fuqua?
Yeah, so before working in higher education, I worked in television news. So I'm one of the, if you ever want to talk about career switching, please feel free to come talk to me about it. And I, kind of like Shelley, I've been in this for 5 years, and I don't see myself leaving anytime soon. I think what's so great about working at Fuqua is I really do love our community. I think it's so easy when you're looking at business schools to be like, oh, they just say that. That's just branding, how they want to be perceived. And I'm just so fortunate to work in a place where that's not just words that we put on our website to sell something, that it is truly something that we live and breathe every single day. So I love how supportive we are of each other in the office, but then of the people that are applying to business school. I had someone the other day just say, like, thank you for setting aside 15 minutes to chat with me. This puts me so much at ease. I just haven't been able to do this with somebody in admissions. And just to think like that for that 15 minutes, it just, maybe that changed someone's, path of going to business school or, and I think just hearing people's stories, you get to meet really, really cool people when you work in MBA admissions, and kind of to Shelley's point, to think that you play this small role in saying yes to them and yes to their future is just something that's really cool to think about. It's great to see when they're applying, and it's kind of like a proud parent moment when they graduate and seeing them go on and achieve what they said they were going to do in their application, or even, go above that. So I think just seeing the growth in people and being part of helping support them and collaborating with them.
Okay, terrific. Quamina, how about you? What's one thing that you love about working in MBA admissions at Berkeley Haas?
So fun fact, today is actually my 2-year anniversary working in MBA admissions.
Congrats.
I did a couple of years working in undergrad admissions, and so it's quite different. And just to echo what Morgan said, that yeah, for me it's the students and the legacy. You really meet folks on the road, and you hear about their journey, what they've done, and what they say they'll do when they get on campus. And I get to work with them through whether it's consortium or any of the affinity groups, and really support the work that they do and see them at the end of it and what they are going out there and the legacy like they've left on campus and what they're carrying on as alum. And it's just amazing. So really love Haas as an institution. I did my undergrad here. I love it. I've been here too many years, but I still love it. I love it.
Excellent. Yeah, I share the sentiment with all of you. I mean, because, obviously I'm not an admissions officer anymore, used to be, but, Clear Admit, I love seeing, people come to our website and we kind of follow their journey too. And they share little tidbits, and it is really amazing to see what people get access to when they head off to one of your institutions. We have another lightning round question, and Quamina, I'm going to stay with you for this one. So we've been talking about essays pretty much this entire session, and I just wondered if you'd be willing to give our attendees one piece of non-essay advice as they embark on the application process.
Right. So the advice I'll give is that you are in full control of the information that you share with us. So again, it's like a painting. You're in 100% control of what kind of image we get to see. And so don't leave anything out. Everything is important. Don't make any assumptions. Just lay it out there, build the full picture for us, and give us enough information to be able to do, or at least for Berkeley, do the holistic review process. And hopefully it yields the results that you ultimately want.
Great advice. Morgan, how about you? One piece of non-essay advice for people interested in Fuqua.
I think, Shelley talked about ChatGPT, and I think it's so easy for you to say, oh, I want to say this to the, my application. Let me put this prompt in. I think the best advice that I can give to anyone about your application, about prepping for things, is be yourself. There is no specific answer we are looking for in your application. I don't want to say there's no wrong answer, but we want to get to know you. And the only way we get to know you is you being true and authentic to your story. Don't feel like you have to, fit into the exact industry that we're looking for. Only people that want to go into consulting, or only people that want to go into marketing. We want different perspectives, lived experiences, cultural experiences, whatever you want to call it, in our classroom. And the only way to do that is just to be true to yourself, whether that's, during your interview, talking with people, your, recommenders about your letter of recommendation. Just be true to you. And that alone will help you in the admissions process, and you will put forth a much stronger application than trying to be someone you're not.
Okay, great advice as well. Shelley, how about you? One piece of non-essay advice for those applying to Georgetown McDonough.
Yeah, come visit us, get to know us, come to our campuses, meet with students, meet with alumni. The more you get to know each school, the more you will either become convicted that that is the school for you, or it is not the school for you. And you're only going to do an MBA once, I would imagine, or a master, maybe not. I mean, some people do multiple masters. I have multiple masters, but if you're probably not going to do 2 business degrees, maybe. So do the due diligence up front to choose the right program. But also know that when you go to a top business school, you're going to end up with great, professional career goals achieved, great companies, great networks. So don't stress too much about it. But yeah, come get to know us. We're all traveling, I think, back on the road finally. We're doing virtual events, and then our students and our alum are happy to chat with you. So.
Yeah, that's great advice too. I will say, yes, setting foot on a campus, if you're able, or even just engaging with admissions representatives and often alums in cities when these schools come near you is really valuable. It's still, one of the better ways to learn about these programs and their culture. So, Shelley, we'll stay with you. We have one more lightning round question. And this one, we just decided in honor of Duke's 25 random things question, we wanted you to share one random fact about you.
One random fact. Well, let's see. I have a rising middle schooler, a 4.5-year-old, and a husband who's been in the military for 19 years. So yeah, maybe that's not one, but yes.
No, we'll take it. Excellent. Morgan, how about you? A random thing. And this is unfair because you probably had to do this when you joined the team at Fuqua, right? Did you have to do your 25 random things?
I did, but the thing is like you add new 25 things, and probably if people have seen me present before, they've probably heard about my television news career. I run Spartan races, but I think the new one I want to use this year is I've always said that my mom named me very appropriately. My name means edge of the sea. I was actually born in Manchester by the Sea in Massachusetts, and I currently live in Wilmington, North Carolina, just across the street from the Intercoastal Waterway. So I always like to say my mom picked my name perfectly as Morgan, Edge of the Sea.
Awesome. All right. Great random fact. Kwamina, how about you?
I played lacrosse in high school and a bit in college.
Oh, wow. Interesting. Cool. So I think what we're going to do now is I want to thank each of our panelists for taking part. I find this always super eye-opening, even for me, and I've been working in this industry forever. So, and I'm sure the people tuning in have really enjoyed. What we're going to do now, everyone stay here. Our panelists are going to sneak off and get into individual Zoom rooms, and we're going to send you all, we'll post the links here in the chat so you can go and join them if you have questions and want to do Q&A with Shelley, Morgan, or Kwamina. We will give them a minute or two to get settled in. So everyone hang here with me. Shelley, Morgan, Kwamina, thank you so much for your time today. We'll let you guys slip off and open up your other Zoom windows so you can get ready for the onslaught of candidates who are going to come and answer your questions, but really appreciate your time. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Graham. Great seeing you again.
Same. Thanks, guys. So everyone stay here with me. We're going to post the links to these individual Zooms that you can go to in a moment. We just want to give the panelists a moment to get settled in. We're going to post them both here in the chat, as well as you're going to get an email with the links so that if you want to go to multiple schools, like first dip into Georgetown, ask a question, and then move on and ask Haas or Fuqua a question, you can do that. I recommend you copy what we post in the chat here in a few minutes so that you have them, or you could just check your email and you'll have the links there too. But while our panelists are off getting their rooms ready, I wanted to remind people, if you don't already know, there's a tool at clearadmit.com that's called ApplyWire. And ApplyWire is designed for people at the beginning of the admissions process. You can indicate like where you're applying, what year you want to attend, all these things you see on screen here. And then people on our team or people just in the applicant community will weigh in and give you advice. It's a really great way to get some free feedback on your profile. You don't have to yet have a test score or everything in place. You can, fill out the pieces that you have, and people will still weigh in. There's a guy, Alex Brown, on our team who I do the podcast with each week, who responds to these like literally within less than 24 hours in most cases. So post your profile to our site, get some free feedback. And it's just a great way to, to learn more. We also, our website, some of you may have noticed, has undergone a little bit of a refresh in the last day or so. We have a kind of new version of the website we're very excited about. Bear with us because this is sort of day one on the new site, but it's a lot faster and should be a lot easier to use. But in any event, these are the kinds of comments you'll get if you leave a profile on our site. I think we've given our panelists probably enough time. I will remind you that next week, the week after that, and the week after that, with more of these, next week, I think we've got Chicago and Wharton and Darden and Carnegie Mellon. The week after that, we're sitting down with Columbia, Yale, and others, and it just goes on. We're going to talk with LBS and INSEAD later, or I think that's the last week. So please stay tuned and join us week in and week out for these events. They're every Wednesday at noon Eastern for the next 4 weeks. So yeah, enjoy. I want to say thank you to everyone for taking time today. The links are going to be posted here in the chat momentarily if they haven't already been. Here we go. So here come the links. Copy them if you want to be able to go to multiple schools, because you can't be in more than one room at a time. But thanks again, everyone. Really appreciate you making time, whether it's the middle of the night or the beginning of the day for you. Thank you so much for joining us. We really value that. And yeah, just enjoy and get your questions answered with the schools right now. All right, we'll see you next week, everybody.